The rent clause could be called rent, it could be called minimum base rent, or something else along those lines. It's called that because your actual monthly rent includes pass-through costs. So this portion is the portion that's negotiable. The pass-through portion supposedly is not. Your rent is most likely expressed in dollars per square foot per year and probably has an escalation structure. Landlords will want to see annual increases. Usually they'll start at 3% annual increases, but will often agree to 2%, which essentially keeps up with inflation. The other most common structure is bumps every 5 years, between 10 and 15%. You can do the math yourself. The annual increases will take you to a higher rent in later years than the bigger bump in year 5. The most important thing is to look at rent over the term with the increases side by side with your revenue projections and make sure your occupancy cost is where it needs to be throughout the whole term. And reminder that you'll need to consider your total rent, including triple nets or pass-throughs, not just base rent. Escalation structures are highly variable. The annual increases and the bump every 5 years are the most common, but you can absolutely propose something else that corresponds to the way you've modeled your sales projections. Maybe you need to start at a much lower rent in years 1 and 2, but from there can bump up even more quickly, say 5% annually, to catch up with where you would have been. You're totally free to propose something like that. Triple nets, pass-through costs, common area maintenance, insurance, and real estate taxes. All of these costs are part of your monthly rent, but since, at least in theory, they're passed straight through to you by the landlord with no markup, they're separated from the rent because they are not supposed to be negotiated. Usually you'll be responsible for your pro rata share of these charges. That just means your proportionate share. These costs include common area maintenance, or CAM, which is all of the landlord's costs to maintain and operate the common elements of the project. That includes all kinds of things like building systems and common utilities, snow removal, security, etc. And your CAM charge will increase year over year. Often landlords will estimate a CAM budget and then true up after the first of the year, or compare their budget to the actual expense and charge or credit you with the difference. I know I said CAM isn't negotiable, but there are a few things we can do to mitigate the uncertainty around the size of your CAM charge and its increases. For more on this topic, check out the CAM cap later in this series. Real estate taxes are pretty self-explanatory. It's your pro rata share of the landlord's annual real estate taxes. Landlords will very rarely agree to a cap on real estate taxes since they really can't control them. Insurance is the same way. This should be a pretty small cost, and landlords very rarely agree to cap their insurance.
Hey there, we hope this video is helpful to you. If you're interested in opening your own brick-and-mortar business, make sure to check out Dream Space. This live accelerator program prepares you to find the perfect space and negotiate the best deal. If you find yourself Googling for information on how to lease a space or what some of these terms mean, that's because this information hasn't been available to small business owners until now. Dream Space is the best way to find the perfect space and get a great deal on your lease.